Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the victim cycle. And that is the mindset that maybe we get ourselves into when we feel like the whole world is against us, or we can't do anything right, or nothing good ever happens to us. Some of you have written to me and said that you have a loved one who's experiencing this victim mentality, and either they had a similar surgery to me, or they've had some other type of disease or challenge that's really making their life rough. But instead of being able to find the treasure in there, really what's happening is they're just assuming from now on that everything's going to be bad. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So I wanted to make this video to help teach you how to break out of that victim cycle, or maybe even help someone else who seems to be trapped at the bottom of it. The victim cycle is such a bummer because that mindset is self-perpetuating. It's like jumping into a big hamster wheel and running on it. And the faster and harder you run on that hamster wheel, the more difficult it's going to be for you to get out. But it's hard. It's hard to get out of that mentality once you're in it. And if you are feeling those feelings, or if you have a friend who's feeling those feelings, you might almost feel exhausted by yourself or exhausted by your friend, because those feelings, those thoughts, they're so heavy. Nothing ever feels good. Nothing happens to me that's good. Nothing is ever right. Nobody likes me. Everyone's out to get me. Wow, that feeling's like a bag of rocks. And if you don't figure out how to put down that bag of rocks, then you're carrying around a bag of rocks. That's no fun. That sounds like a lot of homework. Rock carrying. Boo. No fun. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves is, why do we do this as human beings? Why do we take on these heavy, heavy thoughts? We just strap them onto our back and we carry them around. Why would we do that? Because we see from the outside looking in how destructive it is. We see that it's not productive. But we do it, so that must mean that we're getting something out of it. What are we getting out of it? Well, maybe we're looking for something. We're looking for validation from our friends. If you're feeling really bad and you can't contain your emotions and you're spreading this victim energy, you're probably looking for validation. You need to be told that you're okay, that everything's going to be okay. The good news is you don't have to wait for someone else to tell you that everything's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Oftentimes our trials are put in our path so that we can learn something, so that we figure out how to get past them and then share that information with another person that's struggling. So if you really can't figure out why something happened to you or why something bad came into your life, I want you to really think about how maybe you could turn it into a positive. That seems very simplistic, but it's a little bit of a magic potion. It works. Another thing that happens when you put yourself in a victim mentality is, well, all of a sudden you're not responsible for anything. Because if it's not your fault, then there's nothing you can do. You had no choice. And that might feel good, but we know it's not true. That's not true. You always have the choice of control over your mindset. You always have the choice to look through a pair of glasses that's messy and dirty and makes the world feel like nothing good's gonna happen, or you can dust those glasses off and you can say, you know what, tomorrow's a new day. I'm gonna do something to get myself out of this. Sometimes I think, man, being the victim it feels so good for some reason, right? It feels so great to just be able to not take responsibility and to say that it's not your fault. And maybe lots of things aren't your fault, you know? Getting cancer wasn't my fault. I don't feel like I deserve that. No one does. But when I look at my cancer and I say, okay, well, I had it. There's nothing I can do about that. My body's a little bit different now. But how can I investigate that? What can that mean in my life? How can I bring meaning to that? And once you ask that question, it flips everything around from this why me mentality of like, why did everything happen to me and my feelings, and it empowers you in a way to say, all right, this is a thing that happened, and maybe I'm supposed to be collecting some knowledge or experience to pass on to someone else. There is a world full of people right now that need to hear your story. Yeah, yours. I'm talking to you. And I mean exactly you and the unique experience that you've had. And those people out there are waiting to hear what you have to say. If you just hide yourself away and you say, I didn't ask for this, this wasn't my fault, I'm just gonna live in a cave now with the cave gnomes, eat some slugs, you're gonna live a lonely life, and I don't want that for you. Not just because you don't deserve to live a lonely life, but because you're depriving the world of your story, of your special experience, of your ability to lend a hand and help somebody up. So flip that question in your mind when you take it from me and my feelings and what happened to me and say, well, let's look around and find other people like me, other people that have things in common with me. What can we do with them? That's an amazing way to put the brake on the victim cycle. The next thing I want to talk about is just starting to feel joy again. If you're in the middle of a self-perpetuating victim cycle, you're probably not feeling that much joy. And it's gonna be really hard for you to feel joy unless you bust out of it. The world needs joyful people, not just people who are joyful because nothing bad has ever happened to them, but they need joyful people who are joyful regardless of the bad stuff that's happened to them. And if you can bring that voice to someone else who's struggling, you're gonna feel better than you've ever felt, believe me. I actually really know what I'm talking about on this one. I have so many of you guys reaching out to me and saying, I see what you're doing in spite of what happened to you and it makes me feel really good. But guys, I don't have the market cornered on that feeling. You can feel that feeling too. And that's your homework assignment, to go out and feel that joy again, feel gratitude. What better teacher to have than the school of life? The school of life is going to bring us everything we need to know, to take that information and make friends and make the world a better place. And we can't do it while we're running like a hamster, letting our minds spin out of control. Maybe you feel that somebody's wronged you and you have a personal beef with somebody. And those feelings can run really, really strongly, especially if it really is with another person. I mean, it's one thing to really hate cancer. We all hate cancer. What if there was a way to forgive people, or forgive cancer, or forgive being born a certain way, or forgive life for having to be a cycle of birth and death where you lose people? I mean, how much power could there be, right? In just saying, life is the way it is, and that's okay. I'm going to accept it, because we've seen before that this is what happens here on Earth. That will never change. Part of being a human being on this earth is living out that experience. But how far do you want to take your anger? How long are you going to carry it before you forgive whatever's happened to you, before you forgive that person, before you forgive yourself? Why are you really just walking around with a bag full of rocks? You don't need it. You don't deserve it. You deserve joy. You deserve to feel happiness and gratitude for all the good things. There's always going to be somebody that has it worse. And if you can put your mind and your heart in a place where you're really thinking about what it might be like to just be able to say, what happened to me is okay, and I can accept it, I can live with it. And maybe I don't like it, maybe I'm not happy about it. It doesn't mean we let people steamroll us, it doesn't mean we let people push us around. It just means that we say, I'm at peace with what happened to me, and in the future, I'm gonna work towards something better. That's a really powerful thing, and that power is available to you right now, just by changing your mindset. So, it's a hamster wheel, guys. Don't stay on it. Don't trap yourself on that wheel and perpetuate the cycle. If you feel yourself saying, poor me, why is my life like this? I didn't deserve this. I never asked for this. Yeah, have your moment, but then put that brake on and figure out maybe why this happened to you. Is it a bunch of homework? Yes. It's a bunch of homework. Sorry. But man, once you do it, you're gonna put down that bag of rocks and you're gonna feel light as a feather. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.